Hello guys, Coach Ed Haynes here to bring you the latest training priorities for the Performance S&C group. Wanted to kick off this video by having a quick reflection on the last training cycle. We built over 8 weeks, starting with some accumulation work into some intensification work, which concluded with some testing. So I'd like to quickly go over those results. And then I'm going to quickly talk about the next 4 weeks and what that's going to look like and why we're doing it. So first and foremost, looking at some of our testing. We had some awesome results last Monday on both the power clean and the back squat testing. Fantastic to see so many people hitting new PRs there. The program has been somewhat biased towards the clean variations and back squatting, so it was an intentional test in the hope that we would see some PRs, so that was good. One of the biggest positives for me looking at your Tuesday was the progressions we were making both with strict and kipping muscle ups. Strict muscle ups in particular, we've got a lot of people in the performance program, males and females, who are now able to successfully do at least one strict muscle up, and lots who are actually able to link bigger sets together. I promise you guys that when you start to dial in your technique and your kipping muscle up more effectively, coupled with that strict strength capacity, it's now going to allow you to express a lot more repetitions and a lot more capacity in your kipping muscle ups. We will see more kipping muscle ups in the next training block, and we will be adding some fatigue into those muscle ups. So what have we got next? We have 4 weeks of an accumulation cycle. So typically when we talk about accumulation work, we're talking about higher volume, lower intensity. You'll notice actually on a Monday that we're not doing any conditioning at all. We're just kind of giving you guys a ton of repetition on movements that perhaps you wouldn't typically see in the program. We just want to go back and touch base on some foundations with regards to strength and structural balance, and we think it's really important that every now and then we do dip back into these kind of phases. Also take into account that we've just finished a hard 8 weeks or 8 to 12 weeks of training. We have the festive seasons coming up, and a lot of people have other distractions, perhaps not health and fitness related, and also a lot of people travel. So we do understand it's going to be hard for people, the majority of our performance people, to dedicate themselves to the program as they normally do. So after this 4 weeks, when we get into the new year, we will be ramping back into some harder, more intense training. So quickly, sorry guys about the noise, just have some cooking going on in the background, hope you can hear me. Talking about our training week. Our training week is going to be changed around a little bit. It's really important that we don't get too used to a specific stimulus. When we talk about stimulus, we're also referring to what we expose ourselves to on a certain training day. So Mondays, very much similar to what we have been doing in the past. We're going to be developing some front squat absolute strength, but keep it a little bit more sport specific in the sense that we're working from a clean to start. You'll see some nice progressions over the next 4 weeks there. We'll be doing some deadlifting. We'll be deadlifting from a deficit, so I haven't thrown you guys deficit deadlifts in a while. Remember, generally speaking, when you work from a deficit, a greater range of movement. Expect your loads to be a little bit lighter. Also expect to perhaps pull up a little bit sore because you're training muscles that you perhaps wouldn't normally train when working from the floor. If you are following the program remotely and you perhaps struggle to get into a good position with a deadlift normally, beware of a deficit. It does require more mobility. So if you struggle to get into a good position and set with a nice tight back, just stick with regular deadlifts. That's absolutely fine. And then we'll be finishing those Mondays with some upper body and lower body kind of hypertrophy or strength endurance sets. We're going to keep those fairly varied, but do expect to see some single leg, single arm pushing and pulling work in there. Tuesdays has traditionally been our gymnastics day. We're actually changing things up a little bit. We're going to do some more aerobic work on a Tuesday. We're going to keep it mixed modal, so expect to see some cyclical movements in there, mixed in with some low to moderate volume gymnastics and perhaps some low to moderate volume and intensity weightlifting. Again, keep those nice and varied. It currently looks like 4 6-minute blocks, and we'll be always working between kind of 5 to 8 to 10 minute blocks where we're working on sustained repeatable efforts. So really important to understand that when we do those blocks where, let's say you're working a 2 to 1 work to rest ratio, it's incomplete recovery, and therefore you guys need to modulate the intensity that you attack those sessions with. So things to think about is when you see the word sustainable, repeatable, when you finish your lot of time or the required work, you should be, if needed, able to continue to work. So if you're finishing on that time and you're on your back, breathing very hard, hardly being able to stand up, and definitely can't complete another round or another minute or two of the movement, you're probably not working at a sustainable, repeatable pace. Remember, when it comes to developing capacity, it's all about accumulation. And when you get to the point of falling on your back where you can't do any more, that's what we call fatigue-based training, which is typically what we want to see when we test something. This is not a time of the year where we want to be testing too much, so just bear that in mind. Wednesdays is going to continue to be your snatch day, but you're also going to be doing muscle-ups on a Wednesday. Your snatch work, we're going to be working specifically on learning how to cycle a barbell with our snatches. We've isolated the snatch and the overhead squat and positional work a lot over the last 8 to 12 weeks. So now we're becoming a little bit more sport specific with our snatching. So if you aren't comfortable with the touch and go, keep it nice and light, dial in the movement and mechanics of it. It's very different to hitting a heavy single or a heavy double before you start adding load to it. We're then going to be putting your muscle ups on the Wednesday. Again, just to change up the stimulus, we're going to be doing our muscle ups in a little bit more of a fatigue based setting. So for those of you who have your muscle up dialed in now, we're trying to test that muscle up under low to moderate levels of fatigue. So yeah, let's continue to think about technique still though. Let's not just get sloppy and try to muscle our way through repetitions. If you are following the program remotely and you have time to kind of work your way through the stimulus, make sure you are spending time dialing in your movement first before you just get into that piece. We'll be finishing those Wednesdays with kind of a short, hard conditioning piece. Again, keeping it a bit more varied, kind of thinking a little bit more about traditional CrossFit here. Thursdays, as you know, is your rest or your catch-up day. Fridays, we're going to be alternating some back squat, absolute strength work with some upper body pushing or pulling. So rather than just isolating the squat by itself, getting a little bit more sport specific here. But again, we're not going too heavy. I was really happy with our back squat test, so we don't need to drive up too much intensity with our squatting for now. And then Fridays, after our lower body and upper body strength work to start, we'll be keeping it fairly varied. We want to keep it, we don't want to do too much testing work on a Friday, so we want to keep it at low to moderate levels of fatigue, but expect to do some gymnastics, expect to see some weightlifting and some kind of varied odd object type work. That might be like in an EMOM format or a rounds for quality format. Saturdays, continuing the theme of aerobic work, anywhere between 25 to 40 minutes of work, trying to keep them fun, basically filling in the gaps from the rest of the week based upon like how our people are feeling. If we're feeling beat up, we'll keep that a little bit easier on the body. If we're feeling fresh, we might ramp up both complexity and intensity on those Saturdays. We're going to give you guys some partner workouts, some team workouts, and again, just keep it nice and fun. Just a couple of concluding thoughts. First and foremost, guys, we have the athlete camp. Spots are selling really quickly and we've got loads of people flying in from overseas. It's going to be awesome, but we do have a couple of spots left. Remember, if you have attended an athlete camp in the past, this promises to give you some different content in new formats, so I think you'll still get a lot out of it. And if you haven't attended one, now's your chance. Lots of changes to the CrossFit season for us, and we're going to talk about loads of things with regards to training, competing, mindset, the new season and how that might affect us, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Next thing is, guys, don't slack off when you're warming up and your movement prep. Remember, we always put something into What Up for you guys to follow by yourselves. There are YouTube videos there to help guide you. Remember, the more work you can put in there, guys, the more you're going to get out of your training for sure, and also the more longevity we're going to have for this. We want you guys to be doing this for the next months, years, decades. So don't slack off. Next, guys, the competitors accessory work. A little reminder, we know that it's only prescribed technically under the competitors group, but it's actually for everyone. So if you guys do have the time and the energy to allow yourselves to do 15 to 20 minutes of extra work after class, please do join in. There are always people hanging around after class doing it, or if you follow the program overseas, I'd highly recommend doing the accessory work. It will help to get you stronger, more mobile, and it's a very nice complement to the main program. Lastly, if you are struggling with your Olympic lifting or you'd like some special extra touches on your gymnastics, remember, those who train with us, we do have 2 extra services, especially catering for this. We have Barbell Club, which runs 3 times a week, and we have our functional gymnastics, functional movement classes, which are specifically catering for gymnastics, and with a particular interest in the sport of CrossFit. So you will see things like kipping work and butterfly technique, for example. Very last thing for me, stay on top of your movement, mobility work in general. We want you guys to be mindful when you train. So if your body isn't feeling great or you don't have a lot to give for the session, don't simply just follow the stimulus because we asked you to go heavy. Always be mindful and do what's right for your body. So if that means reducing the intensity, keep it a little bit lighter, focusing on technique instead of going heavy, and not racing other people in the class, that'd be a really good idea. We encourage you to do that. Make sure you're continuing to get things like tissue work and massage done, whether you're going out and getting it done or you're doing it yourself. Complementing our training with yoga or just self-prescribed movement protocols. There is a ton of content online for you guys to use if you need it. YouTube is a great place to start. Okay guys, that's it from me. Hope you found this video to be useful. Look forward to tracking your progress over the next 4 weeks and have a fantastic holiday season.